DIY music can be traced all the way back to the dawn of man if you wanted to get technical, from the banging of rocks being first percussion instruments. But DIY in the sense that we know today can be separated by two eras, the before internet era and the internet era. The before internet era can be traced back to slave times in the United States. Slaves would make their own instruments in order to keep themselves entertained. Artists like Robert Johnson on the left, were street performers during the early 1930s and would play the blues, which was very popular for African Americans at the time. Johnson chose to learn guitar fairly late in his life, but was still a legend and is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now. The before internet era would lead all the way up to the late 80s and early 90s, and DIY as we know it in modern times, the internet age, can be summarized by punk rock and emo bands mostly performing for small crowds of people in bars or local venues. And a famous band that came out of this modern DIY internet scene would be American Football. All right, Pittsburgh scene, Oakland on the left is a hotbed for DIY music because of the mass amounts of college students, mainly Pitt students, looking to express themselves and get their music out there while still attending school. Millvale on the right is also a big neighborhood for small artists because Mr. Small's Funhouse is a medium-sized independent venue located there, and they hold many local band showcases and a festival in the summer known as Yins Fest. The music in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a driving force for the Midwestern emo and punk scene, and that's reflected in the types of band and music that is primarily seen at these shows. Short Fictions, which is on the left, are one of the local powerhouses in Pittsburgh and create some of the catchiest and well-flowing emo music with a lot of Pittsburgh influence in their music, with lyrics about Oakland, the South Side, and the gentrification of Pittsburghers via UPMC. Shinguard, another one of the heavy hitters in Pittsburgh, which is here in the bottom. They have a more metal and screamo tone about their disdain for current politicians on both sides of the aisle. And these punk and emo bands are not the only kind of genres in the Pittsburgh scene. There's also there's one hip hop group that I see a lot known as BB Guns. But that's about all for anything other than punk. So what's the purpose? These are just a few of the people I've met and become friends with at DIY shows. On the left is Jackson, the top is Claire, the right is Damien, and the bottom is Ryan. Everyone at these shows is very accepting and welcoming of many, and many of them come from the LGBT community, as they see it as a safe and welcoming space to come and have fun at an all ages and all walks of life venue. The three biggest venues in Pittsburgh are Ba Sing Se, Cafe Verona, and the Bushnell. Now, what's the reason for all of this? I'm not trying to push a political agenda or beliefs down anyone's throat. I'm using the DIY scene as an example that we all have a place that we fit in and can be accepted for who we are, even if it's in the most unlikely of places, like a sweaty, loud, overcrowded basement.